Hello RPG fans and welcome back to the kingdom. This is the next video in the series from a challenge run perspective where I review games that I've played and or done challenge runs of to determine if this game is challenge run worthy. For some challenge run examples, please check the description below for challenge runs that I have done. The categories that I'll be going over in this video include the platform that I am doing the review on, game difficulty settings, which includes actual game difficulty settings as well as the overall game's balance, game mechanics, which includes combat and non-combat, customization options, which includes menuing, variety of challenges, which includes types of challenge runs and boss fights / special encounters, and last but not least, replayability. And we will see if this game is challenge run approved. Reviewing Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance from a challenge runner's perspective. Category Uno. We will be reviewing the PC version, which I got on Steam, and this game was originally released on the PlayStation 2 way back in the day, and I am very pleased to say that all the content is the same across the board regardless of the platform. So, pretty quick category, this gets a +1. Category number 2, game difficulty options. I'm pretty pleased to say that when selecting Start New Game, I am presented with several different difficulty options, so we're always going to be playing on the hardest difficulty outside of permadeath. This game doesn't have permadeath, but I'm never a fan of permadeath anyway. And with the game balancing in general, this one's a little bit tougher to try and decide on if I want to keep the point or take it away. So while there is a fine line between how much HP the mobs have between the difficulty settings, there is a very big difference on how much damage they deal as well. So with the defense gear in this game, it still does play a little bit of a role. I mean, if you take off the gear, you're just going to get one-shotted pretty much. But even on hard with the defense gear, I'm still getting 2 to 3 shot. So I think that maybe the difficulty is a little bit overtuned, if anything, on hard. Whereas on normal, it kind of felt a little bit more reasonable on how much damage they were dealing me with my defense on my gear. But overall, I still think that the difficulty options category is going to keep both points. The third topic is game mechanics and particularly the combat section. With this game being an ARPG, it's all about the combat in this game, pretty much from start to finish. There's hardly any talking in between, it's just combat, combat, combat. So depending on what type of weapon or weapons you have equipped, you have different skill sets. Well, maybe not so much skill sets, but attacks that you can do. So for example, on my playthrough, I mostly ran with a one-handed weapon and a shield because I had to have a shield in order to block physical attacks. Since I'm only going to be using fire damage, I need something for damage mitigation. Whereas if you were using like a two-handed weapon, you're going to be hitting a lot harder, but you're also going to be taking a lot more damage, which kind of evens out because your DPS is going to be increasing that much more. So the fights are going to be shorter. You could also use a bow, which of course would be a ranged attack, so you can maybe not even get hit at all. You can just continue to strafe the enemy projectiles, hide behind obstructions, etc. And then each of the classes has their own skills to use as well. Melee skills, range skills, magic skills. So there is plenty of options from a combat perspective, so this category gets a +1. As far as the non-combat game mechanics, there's a shop to where you can buy weapons, armor. You are pretty much forced to do that when you are playing on hard difficulty, otherwise you're just going to get one-shotted. Now I'm sure you could probably try and do a challenge run without buying from the shop, but that would be, man, I think that would be almost borderline impossible. That would be kind of crazy. But at that shop as well, you can also restock on your potions, which is almost mandatory, I feel. You can probably not do it if you feel like spending 50 hours on trying to do a playthrough, but I certainly don't want to. And that's pretty much it. It's just the shop in terms of non-combat to where you can try and limit the amount of areas that you have access to. So non-combat's not going to get a point for me. Moving right along onto customization options and menuing. So in the menu, There's several different tabs that we're able to choose from, but none of them really do anything. We could choose what type of weapon we have equipped. Next tab is what kind of armor we can have equipped. And then the next tab is potions and accessories. So like we could have 2 rings and 1 necklace equipped. Other than that, that's it for customization options. There's nothing else. So this category does not get anything from me. It just gets a big old donut. Pretty short category review on the customization options. There's really not a whole lot to say for the menuing. Coming up on the 5th out of 6 categories, variety of challenges. Part 1, types of challenge runs from a viewer and runner's perspective. So let's start off with the viewer perspective. If you're watching this video, chances are you probably have some type of relation to Dark Alliance from way back in the PS2 era, or you just really like supporting me, but I think we'll go with the first option. And with the runner's perspective, this is a little bit of an interesting category because with all the different skills between all the classes, you could literally just choose one skill and see if you can beat the game like that. Now, you might have to do a lot more running around, or some skills might do a lot more damage than others, but I do think it's possible to beat the game only using one skill. I probably could have tried to use only Burning Hands on my playthrough, but that would have taken a very long time and I just didn't quite want to do that, so I just stuck with fire damage instead. I mean, it's also been like 20 years since I played this game on the PS2 anyway, so I thought fire damage was pretty cool. I feel like this particular category is a lot funner from a viewer perspective because the amount of time it takes to try and do one of these challenge runs for this game, if we're only choosing one specific skill or maybe only using auto attacks, is on hard difficulty, it does take a very long time to try and get through the game. And the mobs hit extremely hard, so there's a lot of back and forth to the vendor to refill the potions. It's kind of tedious in a way. With the boss fights and special encounters, this game is all about the boss fights, which can really wall you depending on what type of challenge run you're trying to do. And the special encounters, there's only one of them and it's an optional fight. It is the Onyx Golem at the very end of the game, pretty much in the last room before the final boss. So as I've said many times before, we're reviewing the game on what the game is, not what it could be. So with the boss fights and special encounters, I'm still gonna have to give this a +1 as well. With the boss fights, they can be extremely hard and borderline frustrating because you have to make sure that you are properly equipped going into the fight with enough healing potions or enough mana potions, depending on what you're trying to do the challenge run on. And it can be pretty tedious. And also, if you don't save properly, like stagger your save points, you could hard lock yourself as well. So that's also not a good thing. Our 6th and final category is replayability. So I'm going to say yes on the +1 point, particularly because I only did this challenge run with one character and I've got like 10 plus skills to choose from. And so you can take that across 2 other characters and try and only use one skill as well. So there's a lot of replayability on this. And back in the PS2 era as well, this game did have local co-op, so you could play with your friends as well for replayability. Everyone changing classes, different skills, maybe everyone's using magic, maybe everyone's using physical. It was pretty cool back in the day, and I still think that this is a pretty cool game. It would have been a little cool if there was some sort of online feature. And so while the game might not have seemed like much, it does meet all of the criteria with a 7 out of 10 score. So this game is challenge run approved. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and please let me know what you think of this video in the comments. I strive to do challenge runs that no one else has done for a game. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Additionally, if you want to go above and beyond that, consider joining my Patreon or YouTube channel's membership with the join option next to my name below the video. And until then, I will catch you in the next review. Bye bye.